G'day guys, Googs here and you're welcome to my Drunk Philosophy. Here's to you. I'd like to thank everybody who's recently commented and subscribed to my channel. I've been doing this for about 10 odd years or so, and the last couple of videos have had a good response, so thank you very much. Whether you're positive towards me or negative towards me, the algorithm likes the fact that I'm getting some views. And hey, if you like what I do, like, subscribe and share the video. Here's to you. Thank you very much. Now on to more serious matters. Albanese's speech earlier this week. Now, I listened to it, and for the first time in a long time, I've actually felt a little bit sorry for a politician. What's Albanese supposed to do here? We are literally stuck at the whims of getting oil from the Middle East. Now, at the moment, we're doing okay because we belong to the Singapore Exchange and they've got massive amounts of reserves. So we can still get oil to a point. But that's starting to dry up now. I've heard people talk about, well, we should build refineries. Well, that's great, but we need the crude oil to come in to refine it. And it takes years to set up refineries and billions of dollars. How are we going to convince, say, a BP to build a refinery when it's cheaper for them to have refineries elsewhere? It's a pretty hard sell. But I understand the sentiments. But once again, if there's not oil coming in, what are we refining? Fresh air. I've heard people say, well, we'll start mining our oil reserves. They're very small. Very small. With our current use of petrol, by the time we use up the non-shale oil, we've got about 40 million barrels. That's half a year, at best. Then we get the shale stuff, and it becomes harder and more expensive to get it out of the ground. The reality is Australia is in deep trouble and we're stuck in position. And there's very little Albanese can literally do at this point in time. While the war's going on, there's nothing he can do. We are very strong, very close allies with America, not just in a diplomatic sense, but also in a military sense. We've got American communication centres all over the country that we and our armies also use to help us get intel on what's going on around us. They are a great ally. At the moment, if we were to get rid of, say, AUKUS, AUKUS, that would be a terrible mistake because Donald Trump's only in for another 2.5, 3 years. That would be a horrible mistake on our part because I'm very, very sure that the next president in line after Trump, whoever that is not going to be as foolish, as senile, and as egotistical, one would hope, than Donald Trump, and potentially younger. Potentially younger. God, anything but Donald Trump. He could have, though, used that speech for something that Bob Hawke in the past has used, John Howard used, and that is the idea of Australian mateship. The idea of us sticking together as a people, as a country, helping each other out. He could have focused on what we could do, not just for ourselves, but make it for somebody else. Okay? Understand that you need your petrol, mate, but, we also need to eat. And we export some of that wheat and whatnot to other countries, and we make money as well. Okay? We need it for the mining. We make money from the mining. These are good things. Look, let's unify. No, that isn't what he said. He wasn't talking about unity. It was almost like he was chastising us, which is nothing unusual for Albo. I don't know. I don't think he likes us too much. I say with a laugh. We are stuck in position in this country until we can work out deals elsewhere because, once again, we're a big ally with America and America just bombed the shit out of Iran. So Iran probably doesn't look at us very favourably at the moment and potentially never will. I hope that one day they will. But what do we do? What do we do? I don't know. And neither does Albanese, and neither does anyone else. As I said, it didn't matter if a Liberal leader was in charge, or a One Nation leader was in charge, or a Greens leader was in charge of this country as Prime Minister. There's nothing they could do. But we didn't even get hope. We didn't even get unity out of Albanese. And that is a huge mistake on his part. If he had have concentrated on unifying the country and saying, look, it's Tommy, he looked after each other, I would have been all in. But Albanese, I don't think he's intelligent enough to understand how humans work as a social creature. I really don't. He makes some wild decisions. And unusually, his prime ministership should have lasted about 6 months, to be quite frank with you. And if this had been 20 years ago, his prime ministership would have lasted 6 months. When you bring in a referendum and it fails utterly, well, that's it. You're done. Your political career is over because the people have told you bugger off. But we're dealing with the Australian Labor Party, and they brought in this wonderful rule under Bill Shorten, or Bill what's his name as I like to call him, because let's face it, he's one of the greatest losers, political losers in Australian history. When it comes to winning, he can't. And after all the hoo-ha of the last 20 years of leaders being swapped in and swapped out, due to their popularity largely, brought in this rule that no, if a Labor Prime Minister comes in, the caucus can't get rid of him. Well, that sort of goes against the Constitution in the sense that the caucus is meant to make that decision, because let's say we get a leader in like a Donnie Trump. Let's say we get a leader in like Donald Trump. We can get rid of him instantly. The caucus can go, no, mate, you're turning into a tyrant. You're making the dumbass decisions I've ever seen. You're out. Caucus just gets rid of him. Okay? To thunderous applause. It's a lot easier to get rid of a tyrannical Prime Minister in Australia, or at least it used to be. It isn't every other party except the Labor Party. Dumb idea. Not taking blame for ASIO's failure with the 2 Muslim terrorists that gunned down those poor, peaceful Jewish folk in Bondi Beach. Not taking any responsibility from the federal side of things at all, and then blaming everybody else for racism when it wasn't a racist issue, it was an ethnic issue. It was a religious difference that caused the problem in the first place. Albanese is not the smartest man, is not the wisest man, and just knee-jerks his way from decision to decision to decision, and hoping, it's like the old proverbial throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it sticks. Albanese would have to be one of the worst prime ministers of my lifetime. Okay, one of the worst. His cabinet is terrible. I mean, Penny Wong is a good politician, smart politician. She's not a diplomat. Why is Penny Wong running international affairs? I don't understand that at all. I would have put her somewhere else that could have been just as helpful. Health, education, something like that. But, no, apparently Penny Wong's got no diplomatic history at all and comes off like a old school, hardcore school mom, if you'll excuse my old school language. Looks down her nose at people, and then apparently she's our best diplomat. She's in charge of our diplomacy. Weird, man. I have no love for Albanese, and unfortunately, though, once again, we're stuck in position, and it doesn't matter who's in charge. Right now, we're on the highest spin cycle you can get in the international washing machine of the world. But there is hope, and there is hope in each other. So if he wouldn't say it, I'm going to say it. We are Australians, all of us, irrespective of race, creed, sex, gender, whatever you're into. And we need to start looking after each other and looking out for each other. And we need to start doing the righty by each other. Because we're in for some hell, people. So right now, it's time to take off the individualist cap. And I'm an individualist, and I'm saying this. And it's time to start looking after each other, because if we don't, things will be far worse than they are now. I'm Nathan Gooks Fletcher. This is my drunk philosophy. Be good, be safe, don't be evil. And I'll see you on the next one. Hooroo!